Trump's early actions overwhelm the immigration system from Politico. And this article is a pretty good rundown of a lot of the things, some of the most important things that Trump has done in the first 3 days of his presidency to really crack down on immigration. So in his initial days back in office, Trump has unleashed a barrage of immigration policy changes that have dramatically altered the U.S. immigration landscape. The administration canceled thousands of asylum appointments that were previously scheduled through the CBP-1 mobile application. They've suspended refugee admissions, authorized immigration enforcement in previously protected spaces like schools and churches, and Trump has issued a controversial executive order challenging birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants, prompting immediate legal challenges. Now, unlike his first term, Trump's team arrived this time with carefully prepared policy. So his directive to identify countries where visitor vetting is deemed inadequate, basically reviving the Muslim ban, signals a more methodical approach this time to implementing travel restrictions than his 2017 Muslim ban. Now, the administration's expanded use of military resources for border enforcement and the declaration of a border so-called invasion to justify suspending asylum entries are going to face legal challenges for sure, particularly regarding constitutional rights and these limitations that exist around military deployments. And one of the things that I mentioned in this list of things that's already been challenged is this trying to end birthright citizenship, right? Where the government administration has said, oh, if you're born in the U.S., but neither your parents is a citizen or green card holder here, then you don't get citizenship. That's clearly patently unconstitutional and going to be challenged in court, and Trump's going to lose that one almost certainly. But look, with this big list of things that I just read off to you of what the administration is doing, Trump is trying to send a clear, unmistakable signal that, look, they're coming after immigrants. They're coming after immigrants in general and asylum seekers in particular, okay? All right, let us change gears. Let me show you this one. This is from the AP, Associated Press. The title is House Passes Immigrant Detention Bill That Would Be Trump's First Law to Sign. Very first law. Remember how this works in our Congress. A law, the way that it gets passed is both houses of Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives, have to agree on it. And then once they both pass it, then it goes up to the president for the president's signature, and it only becomes a law after the president signs it. Well, it looks like this is going to be the first law that Trump signs in his entire presidency. And again, there's a lot of symbolic importance here that the first law that he signs is going to be one that's cracking down again on immigration. So the Republican-controlled House of Representatives passed legislation that requires mandatory detention of unauthorized immigrants accused of certain crimes. And this marks a significant shift in U.S. immigration policy. The Laken-Riley Act, that's what it's called, the Laken-Riley Act, gained support from 46 Democrats and became the first immigration legislation that Trump can sign in his new term. It requires federal authorities to detain migrants who are arrested for offenses ranging from shoplifting to violent crimes, but it lacks funding for implementation. Now, immigration advocates are raising concerns about due process rights, and they point to research that shows that immigrants actually commit crimes at lower rates than U.S.-born citizens. The Department of Homeland Security is estimating that to implement this, the cost during just the first year would be $26.9 billion. And that would necessitate 110,000 new detention beds to detain all these people that will get detained under this law. And this legislation, importantly, it also gives states' attorneys general new power to sue the federal government over immigration decisions, potentially creating additional complexity in immigration policy enforcement. Now, it's important to understand about this. This law is going to lead to immigrants being detained who have just been accused of crimes, not even convicted, even low-level things like shoplifting. An accusation of shoplifting will be enough to get someone put in jail, put in immigration detention, okay? By the way, if you want to get help, if you think you might need help, if you want to see if we might be able to help you, do yourself a favor. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. We want to talk with you, see what's going on, and tell you whether we think that, we're in a position to help you, okay? All right, let us move right along. Here we are. The Department of Justice, DOJ, threatens to prosecute local officials over immigration enforcement. What does that mean? What is this all about? The Department of Justice has launched an unprecedented effort to criminally prosecute state and local officials who resist federal immigration enforcement, marking a dramatic escalation in the battle over sanctuary policies. Now, according to a memo obtained by the Washington Post, the acting Deputy Attorney General has directed U.S. attorneys nationwide to investigate officials who don't comply with federal immigration initiatives, potentially exposing them to criminal charges. This directive establishes a new Sanctuary Cities Enforcement Working Group and frames immigration enforcement as a national security priority. Legal experts are saying this approach challenges long-standing principles of state and local authority, as many jurisdictions currently limit cooperation with immigration and customs enforcement to protect community trust and ensure proper legal procedures. Now, state officials, including New Jersey's Attorney General, have already signaled resistance to all of this, and they're maintaining that they'll continue balancing public safety with immigrant community rights. So basically, the Trump is saying, look, Department of Justice, the people who do federal prosecutions here, you're supposed to go after anyone who gets in the way of ICE carrying out its deportation efforts. And these so-called sanctuary cities are cities where the local authorities there, led by the mayor, have decided that they're not going to go out of their way to help ICE deport people. I'm not aware of any study that's saying, look, we're going to stand in their way or we're going to try to impede them. No one is saying that. They're just saying that we're not going to go out of our way to help them. We're not going to cooperate and engage with them and help them do their job of deporting people. All right. But now anyone who is seen as going against that, as going against the government and its efforts to deport people, is going to be a priority to get prosecuted in court by the Trump administration. All right. A former top DOJ, Department of Justice official, immigration official, says that she was removed with no explanation. This one is from NBC News. It is about several leaders within the Department of Justice's what they call the Executive Office of Immigration Review, EOIR. That's the agency that oversees the immigration courts, and a bunch of the top people there were fired, asked to step down by President Trump. And that's because Trump wants to overhaul EOIR to be able to deport more people more easily, to push more people through the deportation process in immigration court and make sure that there are more orders of removal issued by immigration judges rather than grants of things like asylum, right? Actually, 4 senior officials from EOIR have been abruptly removed from their positions, including Lauren Alder Reed, a 14-year veteran of the agency. These removals come as the immigration courts face an unprecedented backlog of 3.5 million cases. They actually employ approximately 700 immigration judges who determine asylum seekers' futures. Now, this Reed this woman, she served as assistant director for the Office of Policy. She reports receiving no explanation for her removal despite a career marked by outstanding performance evaluations. These personnel changes coincide with Trump's recent executive orders aimed at overhauling immigration policies, raising concern among career federal employees about job security and the future of the immigration court system. All right, immigration courts are going to change. It's going to be much harder to win asylum in immigration court, as well as at the asylum office. The only other thing that I wanted to tell you about was a report about how an immigration crackdown could trigger price hikes among various industries in the United States. So there's immigration experts warning that proposed mass deportations of undocumented immigrants could significantly disrupt the U.S. economy and drive up consumer prices. Undocumented workers, who make up more than 5% of the nation's workforce, are particularly concentrated in agriculture, where they constitute about 20% of workers and up to 50% of workers on specialty farms. Now, construction and food service industries also rely heavily on immigrant labor, with experts cautioning that worker shortages could force businesses to either raise wages and prices substantially or shut down entirely. Now, the Cato Institute, a think tank, notes that removing undocumented workers could have cascading effects on legally employed Americans, particularly in supervisory roles. According to the Center for Migration Studies of New York, about 8.3 million undocumented immigrants currently work in the United States, contributing significantly to the country's economic stability and food security. So these mass deportations that Trump wants to do are going to have significant negative impacts on the community. So look, as you can see from this roundup of recent news reports about actions Trump's taken in just his first 3 days, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a hard 4 years, but don't lose hope. It's not impossible to win asylum, even under Trump. Remember two things. Having an asylum application pending may protect you from being deported because, as of now at least, the Trump administration is saying they're going to continue to actually let that process run its course, which is to say, if you have an asylum case pending, they're not going to just deport you. You're going to have a chance to actually have that process go through and have a chance to present your claim and try to seek asylum. Okay, that's one thing to remember. The other thing is people are going to win asylum. As hard as it may be, even though it's going to get harder, approval rates are going to go down, it's not going to be impossible. People are going to keep winning asylum. You just got to work extra hard to put together an extra strong case and give yourself the best possible chance to win asylum in this new America, in Trump's America in 2025. So there you go.